Hey everyone, this is Jennifer Beamer, owner-operator of Actually Diet Art by Science, and this is PhD Talk Episode 3. I just wanted to do a quick little update after I got back from the European Archaeological Association. Biggest international conference that I've ever been to and also presented at, so I was very nervous. It's one of those things where you might have experience public speaking, you might have experience going to conferences, but something about it being international and European made it a little bit scary for me, and I don't know why, because with textile studies, the people involved are really actually quite generous. Overwhelmingly, I had a great experience. The few things that I didn't have a great experience about were primarily from Switzerland itself. And I think it was because I heard that it was expensive to be there. And the cost of living is quite high, but also the people who live there make enough to deal with that. So I was on a huge diet while I was there, so that wasn't so nice. I was hungry a lot. But one of the things that I wanted to mention, if you are going to a conference, and particularly if there are experts you know that are going to be there, it will be within your best interest to take a look at the program and the list of speakers who are definitely going to be there because they're presenting. But also like a list of people you think might be there. So this was an international one. I figured some of the people that I met in Denmark last year would probably be there this year. So what I did was I brought some experiments I had been working on to the conference so I can get some feedback, because it's directly related to an aspect of my PhD thesis. But even if you don't have experiments like I have, but you still want to maybe talk to somebody who might be going about an article or a chapter or a book, or very specific questions or follow-up questions from something that you read of theirs, keep track of this stuff. And then when you're there, don't be too shy to go up and ask, because usually people are quite flattered. Even if it's ancient history, it's something they wrote 20, 30 years ago, they're still going to have that sense of pride when you go up and you ask them these questions, because what you're trying to do is bring forward these ideas, these little tendrils that were established back then into the future, because a lot of really great ideas have already been brought up, but maybe there wasn't enough time at that point in the past, or maybe there wasn't enough research in some other aspects that needed to be developed before these other questions could be addressed. So for that, it's a really great platform to kind of get these older ideas back into the limelight. So what I did was, in another video I will discuss this as it relates to Iron Age archaeology and textile studies, but I did some experiments. It's actually a pre-experiment, if you will, to verify that yes, I could do it and that it was a viable setup. But I basically wove all these, well, it was one long strip with these samples, which I don't know if you can get it. Yeah, there you go, focus a little bit. So what I did was I wove a strip with linen, and then I attached labels to these bits that sections that I cut out of the original example, so that I could do follow-up processes for each of the little samples. And it was useful because they're quite small, so it brings people in. And I had written on here basically what I did to produce each of the samples. And luckily these were very easy to transport. The loom weights were not. Those had to stay at home. But it gave me an opportunity to discuss an ongoing project and to generate some interest. But I can't tell you enough from my personal experience working with textile studies and archaeology There are so few experts, and any opportunity you have to discuss some of these ongoing questions, please do it. My mind is loaded with so many great ideas and so much follow-up that I'm going to do. I've not entirely fallen out of love with my research project, but I do think these experiments that I've been doing as a side project have really helped to encourage my love affair with my research again. So for that, I'm really thankful that I gave myself this opportunity. And also to bring up new areas of research. So these are long-handled combs made out of antler that I actually bought from an Etsy shop. This will be part of an experiment that I'm doing, but they're kind of interesting and weird, and we sort of think we know what they are in terms of how they're used, but not really. So if you have these weird questions, I don't know what this thing is, it's been historically connected with textile production, what is your thought? Or how would you go about figuring this stuff out? So it's also real, these international forums, even though they're dedicated to conferences and you might be going and presenting a paper or a poster or something like that, they don't have to be that's it and done with. They're really great forums to just get together and discuss things that with people who have mutual interests. So if you, again, have something on your mind and you want the opportunity to at least get a few tidbits of information, because usually it's so busy at these big conferences, a little bit of help really does go a long way. So I was scared, I was reticent to like understand what the experience was. I didn't know if I was going to be laughed at or not laughed at. No one would laugh at research in such a place, but sometimes you just think irrationally. But I did kind of fear that I would be asked a bunch of questions from people I've never heard of because they publish most of their papers in Spanish, or they study this whole cohort of textile tools that I didn't even know existed that actually has relevance to my research, and they would ask me some really hard questions. But I actually didn't get any nasty comments or questions, which was great. I don't know why I worried then, but I did get some great feedback and encouragement, and the kind of research that I'm working on, I think, challenges some of these previous notions that we've had for the last however long in Britain. And it was nice to hear experts kind of following up and praising this type of research. So if anything, all my fears were laid to rest, and I feel encouraged for the future. Anyway, if you like this video and if you want to see more videos where I talk about my research with experimental archaeology and some interesting points about these little guys, post in the comments below. I'll also try to do some expertly dyed blog posts to do follow-up photos, because I know it's really difficult to do that with the camera set up. So take a minute to come back and look for that link if you can't find my blog from Google. Or you can follow me on Facebook, I'll post there, and also on Twitter. So if you have any other suggestions, or if you are a PhD student or master's student or undergraduate or just a general enthusiast and you want to know a bit more about this particular conference, I will be sending in a review to the Archaeological Textiles newsletter, and when that is finalized and they accept it, which I hope they do, then you'll be able to see that cutting edge of textile research from a more European and sort of a global perspective. So I'll post that in the description when that is available as well. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up. Bye!